Hello, hello, hello. Welcome and thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. Before we get started, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Bad Vibes Storytelling for narrating with me in this section of our thrilling get-together. He will be doing the first story. I will be doing the second. I'll leave links in the description below if you'd like to check him out. If you enjoy his work, please hit him up on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Let him know that I sent you and let him know how great of a job he did, because he sure did a great job. Without further ado, here are the stories.
My son Eli found it one day while walking the trail in between two schools. It was a small patch of green, surrounded by tall pine trees and myrtles all around it. I don't remember seeing it any time previously during our walks, but this place looked rather old. There wasn't much to it, just some swings, a jungle gym, and a single slide, but Eli wanted to play immediately. Something about the place immediately felt wrong to me. It was too quiet, too still. There was a slow fog drifting along the grass. "Be careful, Eli," I called out. Of course, being only 3.5, he didn't listen. So I sat on the bench nearby and watched him play. I took out my phone to check Facebook and Twitter, telling him that we could stay for maybe 15 minutes at most. I needed to shoot a few messages to my mechanic and insurance company, so immediately I was absorbed in business. As my eyes occasionally glanced up to make sure he wasn't getting hurt, I saw something else standing there, just on the outskirts of the playground. He was a tall man, wearing a perfectly ironed white shirt and pressed dark pants. He was just standing there, staring, watching us. "Eli, we need to get home," I called out. The man was making me uncomfortable. My son whined, but listened to me as we continued down the trail. The man didn't stop watching us until we were out of sight. "Mom, I don't want to go," Eli said as we made it back to the SUV. He climbed in through my side and got into the back seat. "We can come back another day, buddy," I told him. I didn't want to go back to that playground at all. Everything about it was giving me a bad vibe. But I don't like lying to Eli, and I figured as long as the weird guy wasn't there, it would be harmless. So the next weekend I walked him back and let him enjoy it. He was smiling from ear to ear. There were also other children running around, so it put me at ease. But then as I watched, I noticed that none of the parents were there. These were 5-year-olds or younger. How could any parent worth a grain of salt just let them wander out there? This trail isn't exactly well known. In fact, before we found the playground, I would say I almost never saw anyone. So where were these kids coming from? Their laughter was more intoxicating than the fog. I tried to approach one of the children to ask them their name. They were too shy. In fact, they all seemed adverse to even talking to me altogether. I got that uneasy feeling in my gut again, and called Eli to leave. This time he was even more upset. I don't want to leave. I hadn't seen him this mad since he was sick, and I promised him he could play outside, and that was probably the last time I had failed to keep my word. "Buddy, we can't stay here forever, come on," I insisted, but Eli wouldn't listen. He ran to the top of the slide and sat down, defiantly. I hated to be mean, but I didn't want this habit to continue, so I snatched him down and scolded him. "Don't run away from me like that." Eli looked confused. I knew he still didn't understand why he always had to listen to me. It broke my heart when we left. The other kids stopped and stared at us as we walked away, like they were sad to see him go too. Another day, Eli told me that he missed his friends. "Which one, sweetie?" "At the hidden playground," he said. The name he gave was disconcerting, but fitted, given the fact that it did seem hard to find. In fact, when Eli wasn't with me, I couldn't find it at all, even when I tried. "I don't think we should go back there again, bud. It doesn't seem safe, and the equipment is rather old." I tried to reach a compromise with him, saying that I could take him to one of the other parks in town. But Eli wouldn't listen. "It's special," he whined. He was getting to be temperamental, and as much as I wanted to make him happy, my instincts told me to put my foot down. "I just want you to be safe," I told him as he cried in my arms. Eli didn't talk to me for a few days, I guess he figured the silent treatment would change my mind, but I kept firm and didn't even go towards that trail again. Eli got sadder and sadder, refusing to eat or sleep. All he seemed to care about was going back to that place. It made me very worried. Was there something wrong with him? He was always in his room and rarely came out. Finally, I gave in and told him we can go back one last time. You should have seen his face light up, like a kid at Christmas. He was so happy as we made our way towards the creepy swings, but my defenses immediately returned when I saw the tall stranger standing nearby. Why was he always here, watching these children play? Eli, stay close so I can see you. The man was approaching and offered to push him on the swing. Don't touch my boy, I warned the stranger. Mom, I'm gonna be okay, Eli said in frustration. For 3 years old, he always acted like he was 30. He is safe with me, the stranger agreed. I'll call the cops, I said angrily. But the man paid me no mind. He helped my son into the swing and began to push. The smile on Eli's face was so big. I was a mix of emotions, trying to decide how best to handle the situation. Look how happy he is here, the stranger said, as he stepped away from Eli and gestured to the other children nearby. They hadn't been there a moment before. They all are, he added. The way he said it made a chill run up and down my spine. Their laughter kept echoing in the air. What is this place? I asked. I keep them safe until they're ready to move on, the stranger explained softly. He was looking at Eli and seeing him laugh. It sounded so perfect. Move on? I repeated. His words made sense, but sounded hollow and distant. When they are ready, they stay here. I felt my mouth go dry. My son got off the swing and chased after some of the other kids. Stay? He can't stay here, I said desperately. My hands were shaking. I felt paralyzed. I called Eli to leave, but he wouldn't listen. It's okay to let go, the man insisted. He touched my hand and smiled. Eli ran up next to me and tugged my pants. Mommy, there's a tree house with a merry-go-round. Can I go, Mommy? Can I? I don't think I can remember a time that he was happier. I got down on my knee and ruffled his hair. Under his hairline I saw a scar that ran across his head from where the car had struck him. The truth hit me like a ton of bricks, and tears welled up in my eyes. It was time to let go. Sure, bud. Go have fun. He hugged me as tight as he could and ran to the tree line. The man followed behind and nodded towards me in thanks. A moment later they were gone. I stood there a moment longer, transfixed in the sights I had just seen, watching the swings and the slide fade away until there was nothing left besides the green grass. I go by there from time to time to lay flowers down. Sometimes I see other parents doing the same, and we share a bond of silence over our loss. And sometimes I hear children laughing, and I know they are where they are meant to be.
His death, it came as a huge surprise to me. My father, the charmer he is, says that the only surprise is how long he lasted. My brother had issues with depression and addiction, and had been in and out of rehab since high school, but had never attempted suicide before. What he had done was fall off the wagon over and over again. Maybe I'm an idiot for putting this kind of hope in an addict, but this time felt different. He'd been sober for a few months, his longest run ever, had gotten a job, and was doing really well from what I could tell. He even started to talk about becoming a writer. I'd never known him to have a dream, so this was a really big deal for me. What I'm trying to say is, he didn't seem like someone who was planning on killing himself. He seemed like he was really determined to stay sober at the time. I got my hands on his journal a few days ago. I knew he'd been keeping one since he got out of rehab, and I was really hoping there'd be some kind of clue as to what happened. Honestly, I have no idea what to make of its contents. If taken at face value, it looks like he might have some kind of psychotic break or something like that, but But like I said, he seemed to be in a relatively good place. If he was going to snap, I feel like it would have happened when things were really bad for him, which they were for years. I spoke to him a few times before it happened, and he seemed pretty lucid. Like he didn't say anything that raised any red flags or hinted that he might be having hallucinations. Even his writing reads like it always did if you ignore the subject matter. Anyway, I've been up for days, poring over his journal, trying to make heads or tails of what he was going through. I've hit a wall, honestly. It just isn't adding up for me. I'm hoping that stepping away from it for a couple days will give me a fresh perspective. I'm going to post his journal entries here in the meantime. I'm not quite sure what I'm hoping for, but it feels wrong to sit around and do nothing. I think it's important to mention that there were literally hundreds of entries in this journal. I'm only posting the ones I think are most relevant to his breakdown. Entry 1, April 10th, 2019. I posted my first story on Reddit today. It didn't get much attention, so I ended up taking it down. One of the few people who did see it DM'd me. He, I'm assuming, said he liked the way I wrote, and then he needed some authors to beta test this program he and his team have been working on. He asked if I was interested. I wasn't, but I was. I'm not an accept job offers from the internet strangers kind of guy, but people aren't exactly scrambling to hire me right now. Most employers aren't interested in a guy that got caught stealing painkillers from the pharmacy he worked at. Shocker, I know. I waited a few minutes to see if someone with a job offer was going to knock down my door at the last second. When that didn't happen, I accepted the Reddit guy's offer. We exchanged emails, and he sent me a bunch of crap to sign, including a non-disclosure agreement. Not sure who he thought I'd be telling. I'm beta testing software isn't exactly something you shout from the rooftops. I'm expected to spend at least 8 hours a day during the week working on the program. God, I can already feel my back cramping up. Whatever. It pays well enough, and it's not like I have anything better to do. I start tomorrow. Times I thought about drinking today, 25. Times I thought about pills today, 18. Cigarette smoked, 6. Entry number 2, April 11th, 2019. Hot damn! Took me 2 hours. 2 hours to get through the instructions section of the program. I read all sorts of crap about character types and what I can and cannot do with the program. There's a lot of mention of something called the Storyscape, but I'm still not entirely clear on what that is. I didn't ask what kind of program it was, but I figured I didn't need to. There aren't many programs one would need writers to test. To the best of my knowledge, anyway. I figured it would be a word processor of some kind, or something meant to make staying on task easier. Nope. It's a collaborative life simulator, according to the instructions, which, by the way, took me 2 hours to read. I know, I said that already, but I'm still pissed about it. These tech nerds really blow my mind. They can create a whole collaborative whatever, but a simple summary is completely outside the realm of possibility. I'll be responsible for watching over a character, following their day-to-day life and intervening in subtle ways to make crap happen. What exactly that is will be defined by assignments given to me by the program. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? Anyway, I guess that makes this some kind of video game. Cool. I like video games. I've managed to break the instructions down into a few important bullet points. I'm going to write them here so I don't have to slog through that crap again if I forgot something. Number 1. An author must complete every assignment they are given. Failure to do so will result in termination of their contract. Number 2. There are 2 types of characters, complex and throwaway. Number 3. Once a character is created, it cannot be deleted. It exists within the storyscape and will perform actions until its death. Number 4. An author can create throwaway characters to perform a specific task. Number 5. Complex characters cannot be created by an author. Only admin can create complex characters. Number 6. Complex characters have free will. Their decisions and subsequent actions are their own. Free will. I didn't make that up. That was actually in the instructions. Long-winded and melodramatic. I finally clicked out of the instructions and was greeted with an overhead view of this boy's bedroom. I really wasn't expecting the graphics to be this good. I wasn't expecting graphics, honestly. It reminded me a bit of that game, The Sims, but way less cartoony. I put together that this digital world was the storyscape they were talking about. I moused over the kid, and a little box popped up above his head. Jared Redford, 8, complex. I did the tutorial, which basically just walked me through Jared's first day of 3rd grade. It played out kind of like a movie, with the important scenes getting screen time and everything else being skipped over. How the program decides what is and isn't important is beyond me. It all seems pretty mundane so far. Supposedly, there's an option to play through the entire day, but honestly, who has time for that? The first assignment I got was make new friends, and the tutorial showed me all my options for accomplishing that. I can't control Jared directly, but I can do a whole bunch of other things like make thoughts pop into his head, control the intensity of specific emotions, give him gut feelings, cause little muscle spasms, and a bunch of other things. Seems like the whole point of giving the character free will was to have me bend it. Why not just let me control the character and be done with it? The whole day took me around 10 minutes to complete. I made a throwaway 5th grader and had him knock Jared's books out of his hand in the hallway. He ended up making friends with the 2 kids that helped him pick everything up. Man, I wish someone came to my rescue like that when I was a kid. Maybe then I wouldn't have ended up as a recovering addict babysitting a digital 8-year-old. Times I thought about drinking today, 22. Times I thought about pills today, 29. Cigarettes smoked, 9. Third entry, May 4th, 2019. The attention the developers paid to detail is impressive. It's been about 3 weeks real-time since I started using the program, which translates to a little less than 3 years within the storyscape. Mikey and Jackson, the 2 kids who came to Jared's rescue on the first day of 3rd grade, have become his best friends in the entire world. The 3 of them are completely inseparable, which is why Jared was devastated when Jackson's parents started talking about moving to another town. It crushed him, understandably. Yes, in theory, they could still see each other, but they'd be at the mercy of their parents, who probably wouldn't want to make the 30-something minute drive all that often. Watching Jared try to pretend like everything was okay, even though he wanted to cry all the time, really hit home for me. He wasn't a freak or anything like that, but he did have a difficult time connecting with people. He's in his head a lot, and it can make him appear awkward on the surface. Jackson was one of the few people who took the time to get to know Jared. To see him lose that, he deserves better, is all I'm saying. I wanted to see if an assignment would come in for me to stop Jackson's parents from moving. When it didn't, I decided to go ahead and stop them anyway. I made a throwaway and stuck her in a house that looked very much like the one Jackson's parents were going to buy. I made it her purpose in life to sell that house for significantly below market value, and had her post up flyers around the whole area where Jackson's mom likes to power walk. I also made a second throwaway and had him drunk drive his car through the living room of the other house. You can never be too thorough, though. Long story short, it worked, and Jackson's family ended up moving right down the street from Jared. When Jared found out, and that cloud that had been hanging over his head dissipated, and felt like all my insides unclenched at once, I hadn't even realized how tense I was. That's not the impressive part, though. When everything was said and done, I started to think about the throwaway I created. I literally added a lot to Jared's neighborhood, and built a house on it instantaneously. Yet no one within the storyscape batted a digital eyelash. I watched the throwaway I made walk her dog and stuff, and it seemed like people knew who she was, despite the fact that she didn't exist until a few minutes ago. They waved to her and said good morning and all that normal neighborly junk. The program has this timeline feature where you can go back and look at any event that happened from the day you booted up the program for the first time. It showed that the house has always been there, and that woman has always lived in it. I'm not exactly an expert on this kind of stuff, but it seems like the program retroactively generated a whole life for the throwaway. It sort of makes sense when you think about it. When I'm in public, I often think about the fact that every single person I pass on the street is living their own lives. They might be throwaways in my story, but in theirs, they're the main character. They have their own history, their own social security number, family, home, etc. If you were to suddenly take an interest in their lives and dig deep enough, you'd find all those things. It's like a trail of breadcrumbs that shows this person existed long before they flashed across your field of vision. If someone in the storyscape decided to play detective and couldn't find those breadcrumbs, that might raise more than a few red flags. I know that sounds crazy, but you wouldn't even believe how advanced this AI is. I sometimes forget the people I'm watching aren't real. The rules did say that complex characters have free will. Maybe that means they're capable of higher level thinking as well. Maybe it would be possible for them to figure out they're part of a simulation. Maybe it's already happened before, and that's why the developers put that feature in. I wonder what happened to the character that put all the pieces together. Times I thought about drinking today, 35. Times I thought about pills today, 19. Cigarettes smoked, 8. Fourth entry, May 17th, 2019. Middle school was more or less what you would expect. Puberty, self-discovery, peer pressure, the whole gamut really. Everything except an interest in girls. Guess his hormones haven't reached critical mass yet. Maybe he's a late bloomer. The majority of the assignments were more long-term things meant to carry over into high school. Things like prepare for high school football and cultivate an interest in the forensics club. Both have been easy enough so far. For football, I've been increasing his feelings of happiness and determination every time he does anything physical or watches football on TV. For forensics, I had a throwaway cause a programming error that made an episode of CSI pop up on a channel Jared watches after school. He started watching it on the internet now. They've also started giving me quick assignments to do at the same time. I have a theory that the program is trying to maintain some kind of equilibrium. Like, for every handful of positive effects, there's a few negative ones to balance them out. I guess it wouldn't be all that realistic if Jared was happy all the time. Honestly, I really don't like doing negative things to him. When I see him all sad and dejected over something he can't control, it makes me feel like someone punched me in the gut. It's like I'm looking at myself, 14 years old, and wondering what I did to deserve the hurt I was feeling. I wonder if he can also feel that feeling of powerlessness, if it falls thick and dark around him like blackberry syrup. I wonder how often he feels like he's drowning in his own bedroom. I hope never. I don't want him to feel like I did. I don't want him to hate his life so much he has to turn to drugs and alcohol to cope with it. He shouldn't have to mire through his life. I did enough of that for both of us. Times I thought about drinking today, 32. Times I thought about pills today, 41. Cigarettes smoked, 11. Fifth entry, May 23rd, 2019. In a strange but very welcomed turn of events, Jared has a girlfriend. I'm not gonna lie, I was starting to think he might be gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he does live in a conservative town, and I didn't want him to have to deal with coming out in a place like that. Turns out he just hadn't met the right girl yet. And by that I mean he hadn't met any girl that even remotely interested him. Then Melody got transferred into his chemistry class. His jaw hit the floor so hard, I had to remind him to close it before he drooled all over himself. It was like something reached into his brain, took his idea of a perfect woman, and then stuck her in his class, which might have been what actually happened, but we won't go there right now. Funny, I never would have thought redheads were his type. I guess that explains his disinterest in the rest of the local ladies. Melody is the first redheaded girl I've seen in the entire storyscape. I spent the whole class filling his head with confidence-boosting thoughts. I decided to exercise one of my most intrusive powers and hijack the little voice in his head. Take a deep breath. You got this. She's just a girl. Nothing to be scared of. Look, she's smiling at you. Just smile back. It felt weird being inside his head like that, especially when I imagined someone doing the same thing to me, but it really helped. After class, he was so pumped, he walked straight up to her and asked if she wanted to go see a movie. A few days later, my man gets up the courage to ask her to be his girlfriend. No little voice required, and she says yes. He was so happy. It actually brought a tear to my eye. The first happy tear I've cried. Ever, really. Times I thought about drinking today. 15. Times I thought about pills today. 17. Cigarettes smoked. 7. Sixth entry. June 10th, 2019. I hate myself. I hate myself, and I hate whoever writes these damn assignments. I only got one assignment today. I probably would have gotten more if I stayed on, but I'm done for now. Maybe forever. I don't know. When the assignment to break his heart came in, I just stared at it for a while. Long enough to see that the program wasn't going to allow the day to progress until I started taking the necessary steps to do so. By the 5th or 6th loop, the program started reminding me that if I didn't complete the assignments, I would be fired. I just didn't understand why he needed a heartbreak. Yeah, okay, it's a learning experience and all that, but there are other ways to learn things. Let the kid have his young love. Let it in naturally and be a fond memory for him, not something that pops into his head during bouts of insomnia. I don't use the word love lightly, by the way. Jared loved that girl, and it really showed in his actions. I'm no expert on love, but I know a good relationship when I see one. She was a good influence on him. Maybe not directly, I mean, she drank a little more than I would have liked, but her presence made Jared want to do his best. Every test he aced for her. Every touchdown he scored for her. She became everything to him. Yes, I acknowledge that probably wasn't healthy, but who cares? He was happy. And of course, I have to be the one to put a stop to that. I did my best to remind myself that this was just a simulation. That Jared wasn't real and neither was Melody, but this wasn't working anymore. It doesn't matter if he's real or not. My connection to him is real. I'm such an idiot. I did it for the money. That's all there is to it. I broke my little buddy's heart for a freaking paycheck. And not even a good one. It's crap. It's all crap. I did my best to make it so that Jared could heal. He had to hate her if that was going to happen. If he still had feelings for her or had any other reason to keep asking himself, what if I'd done things differently? Then this could become a weight he carries for the rest of his life. High school romance or not, that stuff sticks with you. There was this party they were supposed to go to. Just a typical no parents, no rules type of shindig on a Friday night. Jared ended up deciding not to go. The week before, he'd showed up to Saturday practice hungover, and coach flew off the handle. He didn't want to risk it, but he told Melody she should go. He trusted her completely, so in his mind there was nothing to worry about. I made a throwaway. A boy from another school. Chiseled, handsome, tall, standard high school dreamboat. His purpose was to seduce her. I really hoped it wasn't going to work. I hoped that she felt the same way about Jared that he felt about her. That she would have enough respect for their relationship to not throw it all away for one drunk hookup. That she would prove herself worthy of that trust. Then the eggheads that made this program would look at the outcome and say, wow, didn't expect that. Well, love is love. Can't screw with that. Wouldn't that be nice? Unfortunately, reality is very rarely nice. Apparently, the same goes for virtual reality. I had the throwaway take a video and send it around. It was an awful way for Jared to find out, but I had to make sure he really hated her. So much so it would eclipse how much he loved her. It worked. Maybe too well. He's been having reoccurring dreams. When I look inside them, I can see blurry images. Really violent ones, where he does unspeakable things to a girl with fiery hair. He wakes up sweaty and crying, and usually can't fall back to sleep afterwards. His grades are slipping. Coach moved him off the starting lineup. He dropped out of the forensics club. His life is falling apart right before my eyes, and it's all my damn fault. I don't think I can do this anymore. Times I thought about drinking today, 42. Times I thought about pills today, 37. Cigarettes smoked, 16. 7th entry, June 11th, 2019. That piece of crap. I called the guy that gave me this job and told him I was done. You know what he told me? You can't quit. I told him there was literally nothing he could do to stop me. I didn't even want my last paycheck. I just wanted to delete the stupid program and forget any of this ever happened. I told him if the complex characters have free will, then so do I. And what I want is to put this whole dang thing behind me. He tells me that if I quit now, they'll have to find someone else to write Jared. Hasn't he been through enough? I shouted into the phone. He hasn't fulfilled his purpose. He said it so casually, like he was telling me he needed to stop by the store and pick up milk. I wished I could reach through the phone and break his freaking nose. Every character in the storyscape is a single part of a greater whole. They need to fulfill their purpose for the good of the story. I practically begged him to just leave Jared alone. AI or not, he can feel things. I know it. That prick just kept saying that his hands were tied. We serve the story, he kept saying. I'm so frustrated. What kind of sick moron or group of morons does crap like this? They created Jared. They bestowed him with sentience, gave him feelings and free will. For what? Just so he could really feel the pain they intended to inflict on him? To make him smart enough to wish he were never born when his heart shattered into a million tiny pieces? What's his purpose? To be a dang addict? Because he's sure as hell headed that way with the amount he's been drinking. It might seem like I'm being overdramatic about the whole high school breakup thing, but listen to this. I overheard a conversation between Jared and his dad the other day. The program skips their interactions so often, I didn't even realize his mother wasn't in the picture. I did some digging, and I found out his mom was ridiculously abusive. She used to lock Jared in a closet and make him kneel on frozen peas when he misbehaved. She said it was because he was an awful child born with poison inside him. He needed to learn to be well behaved and not spread his poison to other people, or everyone he loved would die, her included. What a messed up thing to say to a child. She was diagnosed with multiple mental illnesses and committed to a mental institution. I looked her up. She looked so pathetic. Drugged to high hell, glassy-eyed and slack-jawed, fire-red hair so wild and unkempt, I would have believed it if you told me she was raised by wolves. I wanted to hate her for what she did to Jared. But then I moused over her and found out she's a complex character too. That means someone probably wrote her into a psychotic break. It's not her fault. It's their fault. They're monsters, and they're going to keep bending Jared till he breaks. Screw me. I can't quit. The next author won't give a damn about him. I'll have to follow the assignments, but what I do in between them is up to me. I can spend my time making him happy, undoing the hurt the assignments do. Screw whatever purpose he's meant to fulfill. I won't let them use him for their stupid story. Times I thought about drinking today, I didn't freaking count. Times I thought about pills today, no idea. Cigarettes smoked? A lot. 8th entry, June 13th, 2019. I can't believe my eyes right now. I thought at first there was something wrong with the program, like some kind of graphical glitch or something like that. So I shut it down and turned it back on. Nope. There it was. Assignment, kill Melody. I probably shouldn't be as surprised as I am. I should have expected something like this from the pieces of crap that made this damn program. They want to make Jared into a dang killer. That must be the purpose that guy was telling me about on the phone. Well, I'm not doing it. We're not doing it. Not going to happen. They have absolutely no right to pull something like this. None whatsoever. I'm going to find out where these wastes of human life work and shoot up their whole freaking office. Who the hell are they to play God? Ah, damn it. I need a freaking drink. 9th entry, June 14th or 15th, 2019. His handwriting starts to get really sloppy here, so it's hard to tell. I had to do it. I had to. I didn't want to, but I had to. I tried to save him from it. I made a drunk driver to hit him. I made a gunman to shoot him. I made a pilot to crash a plane into his house. Quick, easy deaths. It was better for him. I called the guy. He said, "The Storyscape needs a serial killer." Serial killer? So Melody would be the first of many. No, I won't do it. You have to, or we'll find someone who will. Ah, screw you. I'll never let it happen. I'll sit here and undo everything you tried to do to him. Everything. I don't care if it takes the rest of my life. Fine. Then we'll find another killer. Jared will be his first victim, and we'll make sure the next one likes to take things slow. Click. When I looked at the assignment again, it said, hunt or be hunted. I couldn't let him be hunted. I tried to kill him all night. They just undid everything. Brought us right back to the beginning of the day. Jared didn't even know what was happening to him. It was better for him to be the hunter. He'd be happier that way. I pulled images from his dreams. Images of a girl with fire red hair bound and gagged, trying her best to scream but only managing muffled cries through the spit-saturated cloth. Eyes wide and bloodshot. Cheeks streaked with tears, dried and fresh. I pushed his happiness and satisfaction as high as it would go. I didn't need to do anything to his arousal. That was already maxed out. I helped him make the plan, mostly nudging him gently in the right direction, but hijacking the little voice in his head when it felt necessary. I didn't want him to get caught and have to rot in a jail cell. He deserves freedom. I let him pick the murder weapon. I suggested a gun. Make it quick and easy. He didn't want that, though. He picked an axe. The forensics club had taught him that genetic material would be his undoing. He wore a hairnet under a beanie, under a ski mask, leather gloves, and a surgical mask. He wore dark clothing that covered as much skin as possible. He picked out a place to bring her, an old electrical shed in the woods behind his neighborhood. It hadn't been used in years, and the lock was rusty and easy to break. He followed her for days, waiting for an opening. Football had made him fast enough to rush her before she knew what was going on, strong enough to knock her out in one punch and carry her unconscious body to his car. He tied her up and placed a gag in her mouth, just like in his dreams. He gave her a speech before he killed her. I wasn't really listening, Something about how much she hurt him. The little bit I did catch sounded ambiguous. He avoided specifics and focused on the pain he felt. I could tell he'd gone over this speech 1,000 times in his head. Maybe 10,000. He kept touching her hair, running his fingers through it, looking at it through tear-blurred eyes, pressing handfuls of it to his nose. I think I counted 57 swings of the axe. She looked like mincemeat when he was done. A mushy pile of gore with fire-red, blood-matted hair. The plastic tarp he put down beforehand made cleanup easy. A little check mark appeared next to the assignment. Jared slept more soundly that night than he had since the breakup. I bought a bottle of Jack Daniels. 10th entry, June 17th, 2019. Again, sloppy handwriting. This whole entry was practically illegible. There's more to this than I'm seeing. I know it. Jared is real. He's real whether he's physically real or not. He isn't just lines of code wrapped in a convincing character model. What if the storyscape is just another dimension? That would make me a deity of some sort, one who used his power to create a monster. He keeps killing. I haven't even touched my keyboard. I just leave the program running while I drink, and Jared does what he does. Free will, my ass. I made him this. I manipulated him into making decisions he thought were his own. He only believed he had free will. Maybe it's the same for me. I did everything I was told, reluctantly or otherwise. Kept following those assignments until they, whoever the hell they are, got exactly what they want. They serve the story, and I serve them. There's a thought that keeps popping into my head. How do I know my feelings are mine? My love for Jared, that need to protect him, to see him happy. What if that was put inside my head? What if someone was sitting at their computer jacking up my happiness, my empathy, my compassion? Now that I think about it, Jared and I didn't even have that much in common. But somehow I felt like we were kindred spirits. What if I haven't been the only one inside my head this whole time? What if I've never been the only one inside my head? That would explain it. My life, my pain, my addictions. All of those were just parts of my story. Little pieces of an inciting incident that would drive me to fulfill my purpose. But what purpose? How many layers are there to this thing? How many endless authors are out there, fingers dancing across their keyboards, keystrokes reaching into the storyscape to gently bend the free will of their complex characters? To do what? Write in their storyscapes? Manipulate their characters? Where does it end? No. Where does it begin? God, my head. It's swimming. I won't be part of this. I won't be someone's puppet. If my theory is right and I am a complex character, then that means I have free will. Or the illusion of it, at least. As long as I live, my actions will never be my own, even if they feel that way. There will always be an invisible hand guiding me. There will always be an author behind a keyboard. I won't let that happen. I will be free. I will be free. I have free will. And I will be free. Thank you for making it this far. I hope you enjoyed the video. I just wanted to quickly let you know about a couple things I have going on. I have an Instagram where I post more personal things about who I am. It isn't just all creepy stuff. You can find me at Stories After Midnight. I also have a Twitter where I mainly retweet and like things I find interesting. The handle for that is in the description, but it is S_A_midnight. I should really find another one because that's hard to say. If you really like what I'm doing, consider joining the Midnighters. That's my growing community where we hang out and have fun and talk about cats. You can find a link to our Discord in the description below. We'd love to see you there. Other than that, It'd make me happier than a cat on a table full of antique glassware if you'd like the video and consider sticking around for more. We'll see you in the next one.